How's everybody? My name is Ben, and welcome to a video that I have literally been wanting to record forever. I have chills right now. I'm so excited to record this. Hello everybody, and welcome to my Undertale Remakes custom review. I don't even know where to begin on this. Basically, for those of you who are newer to the channel, or this is your new video, hello, welcome. A long time ago, when I started this channel in 2016, a couple of my first custom reviews were for Undertale. Whenever it first came out, before I even played the game, I loved the fan base and I loved the characters, and I ended up making customs for it. And over all these years, some people have said that the game has died, but honestly, I see it's more alive than ever. And now, like, Sans is in Smash, we have the Undertale live tour coming out. It's on the Switch and PlayStation now. It's grown to be so much. It's so amazing, and it's just definitely one of my favorite, not only games, but franchises of all time. So I wanted to make customs for it. And I do want to say something. So the point of this video is to take the old customs I made in my old videos, plus an extra, which is not as old a custom, but is one that still needed to be remade, and to remake them and basically just redo all my old Undertale customs, since they all looked like trash, and it's my favorite game, and I didn't want all my customs to look like trash. So this isn't like these are all the Undertale figures I'm ever going to make. In fact, I have some over here, like there's Bluky and Azrael, Mettaton, Kara. All these figures, they're not going to be in the showcase, just because those are figures that are for Undertale, but I haven't showcased a version of them. They were original figures, and I actually have showcased this character in a video. But yeah, so these are all figures that I made in 2016, plus one I made in 2018. And also, these aren't Deltarune figures. I have those over here. Let's just get started. So to start it off, of course, we have Sans, and these figures will be reviewed in the order that I reviewed them on the channel originally, but this is my penultimate Sans. He's one of my favorite figures I made. Not my favorite in this review, but is definitely up there. An amazing figure. He is my fifth Sans, in fact, and Sans has never been my favorite character, but I really wanted to do him justice this time. And I have most of the original figures here, sort of, in a way. But so this is not even my first Sans. My first Sans was a gift for my friend Shadowgang Gaming after he made me a custom amiibo. This was my second Sans that I made for the review. Then I made a third Sans in 2018, I think, just for fun. And then, in 2019, I made two Sans. This one was the second, where basically I just revised the other one, redid the paint job on him. But, so, this Sans is the build-up of 5 Sanses. I sculpted his head, which I've never done with Sans until these last two. I usually just use a minifigure head, like I do in my minifigure series. But I had a really good idea, and I was inspired by not only an old Deadpool custom I made, but also the Chima Lego minifigures to make this. So this is basically, now this is going to look kind of creepy, but this is basically a Lego motorcycle helmet that I sculpted and left 2 eye holes in, and then he can have a lot of different expressions without changing his mouth, so they look kind of creepy on their own, but with the mask on. So here we have him winking, which is pretty cool. The bad time eye you already saw. Here we have, again, creepy looking, him with normal eyes, which is very cool. I also love how it looks kind of 3D as they're back in there. And then also just normal black eyes. He has 2 accessories. He has the bone, and then he also has a hot dog that I usually give him. But the intro to this video, if I actually made it and it looked good, was more genocide inspired, so I wanted to give him the bone because it's more genocide. He has the wild style hoodie piece, which I sculpted up a little and I just glued to his body, and then I made a coat out of e-tape and paper like I usually do, and put that to where it goes around his arms. And then he has mid-legs, the new Harry Potter mid-legs, or they were new at the time. Yeah, so that is pretty nice. He can actually move his legs, and he's more scale accurate when putting him next to, say, Friske. But yeah, that's it for Sans. It's really weird to review these and say Sans in a custom review again, just because, I don't know. And also, none of those Sans I made, ironically, I do want to say that all of the Sans I made were because I'm actually an Undertale fan. But yeah, that's it for Sans. Moving on, next up is my favorite minifigure out of all of these, as well as my favorite Undertale character, and one of my favorite minifigures I've ever made, and that would be the Great Papyrus. And I'm not doing the voice, unlike my older kind of cringy videos. Yeah, I did not sculpt his head. I was going to go back and give him a sculpted head, but honestly, I've looked at some people that gave Papyrus sculpted heads, and I always feel like it looks a bit creepy, so I decided not to. He also uses what inspired me to actually finally remake him in early 2019 when I was working on my Marvel 10-year project. Was not only I made it kind of for a meme because I made an April Fool's joke using a thumbnail with Papyrus and Sans, and it turned out to be a big Chunkus custom review. But yeah, the wild style, not hood, but scarf definitely inspired me to make this figure. And it's kind of ironic that they both use wild style neck pieces. But yeah, then I gave him ball jointed arms, and it was one of my first times to do this. But it's actually a pretty neat trick I learned from the Moose Figs. Basically, you take the top of a minifigure leg and stick it in there, and then this is the top of an antenna, and then it actually sticks in there and it can move around and swivel pretty nicely. But yeah, and he uses skeleton parts, which I did with my old one here. You can clearly see which one is better. It's that one. But yeah, and then this one I decided to give the black legs and the black mid part, which I'm going to do on this part one. I kind of wish I would have done black arms too, because it kind of goes against it, but I felt like it would look better to not do the black arms, and I do like it how it is, so I don't know, I may go back and change that, but I think he's fine. Also, his head looks kind of weird. There's probably a picture up here somewhere, but oh gosh. Basically, before I changed it, his head felt like it really sunk into his scarf. So what I did to fix that was I actually stuck a minifigure neck piece that I cut off of a minifigure into there, so that way his neck is taller and it doesn't look as weird like he has a small head. So yeah, that's my virus. Oh wait, also his legs are the Ninjago skeleton legs with another plate on the bottom just to make him a little bit taller, and compared to a normal minifigure, I wanted him to be quite a bit taller because he is a very, very lanky boy. But yeah, that's it for Papyrus. Next up is one of the first minifigures I made this year, and that is Mettaton EX. And I just want to say something I've been meaning to say in a video for a very, very long time. Okay, so whenever I made my first Undertale custom review with this figure, Toby Fox had not yet announced that Mettaton was a guy, and it was pretty obvious, and I didn't realize that then, and so I made the figure very feminine and even refer to it as she, and I just want to apologize for that. Mettaton is one of my favorite characters, and I don't know why I ever did that. It's really cringy that I did that. So yeah, I just want to apologize for that. So if you go back and watch the original custom review with this guy, yeah, just be wary of that. Also, I do want to say a lot of these figures are in shambles, so sorry, he's missing a hand. But yeah, this is a really good figure of Mettaton. So yeah, for his hair, I used a Lloyd Ninjago movie hair and sculpted the part to the side, and then just kind of sculpted in between some of the hairs to make it a little more thick. And then also it is not only black, but it's also kind of a purpley silver, because that's kind of how they make his hair in a lot of the official merchandise. And also, that's another thing, whenever I made these figures, it was pretty much just sprites, but now they're, like for Mettaton, there's a full-on posable figure, which helps me a lot whenever making him. But yeah, I sculpted his chest and used a minifigure stud for his little knob on this arm, or not arm, but the side. But I did sculpt him some big old shoulder pads on the arms, and then his accessory is just a microphone, which I stole from this one. And then I just gave him the pink boots, and I drew the little line there to be like the heels. And yeah, a lot of silver detailing, and even his face over here has a little bit of silver on his torso, and his arms are silver with gunmetal gray lines painted on it. It's getting kind of hot in my room, honestly. But yeah, the only thing I would change about this figure, because I'm super proud of it, is I would give it glove tops. My other Mettaton, I gave glove tops. And I wish I would have gone back and done that, because I think it would have looked better. But hey, I'm really happy with this figure. But that's it for Mettaton. The next figure probably should have been the first figure, and that is because it's Friske, the main character of Undertale. And also, sorry, I turned on my air conditioner because it's kind of hot, so I hope you don't hear that in the background. But yeah, because I was a Skelebros fan, I made that custom review before Friske. So yeah, and I've got to say, with a lot of these figures, comparing them to my old ones, I definitely have a much better color palette now. Just a lot of them have not only more similar colors, but they're more vibrant, maybe not always brighter, but just kind of go together better. Yeah. But anyways, this Friske has two accessories. One is of a stick that I just dry brushed some green on the top. And then I also used the Lego Friends heart piece to represent the Undertale heart. Yeah, and then this hair is just the Luke Skywalker hair, and I was able to just use a yellow head and paint the simple expression on there. I kind of tried to make it a little bit smiley while also making it blank. But yeah, it's just like a normal yellow face, and I decided to switch the lines from pink to purple just because I feel like it's kind of more like that in the game. I put some E-tape on the end of the arms to make it kind of look like the sweater is a little bit thicker at the end, like sweaters usually are. And then I used just short legs again, because that's definitely the best thing to use for Friske, and just painted blue pants this time. I actually did get blue pants to this one, but I was giving them brown pants at first, but I ended up not doing that after looking at some art and realizing that they're more dark blue. So yeah, and I kind of continued it to the back, but I think I forgot a stripe there. But yes, that's Friske. Next up is Undine, and I made her in her casual suit again. I nearly made her in the armor this time, and I may go back and do that whenever I make more Undertale figures. But her accessory again is the spear, like it was for this one. But instead this time I made it green, and not just because it's more accurate, but this is actually glow in the dark. It doesn't really work that well. I can't really show it on here. Oh, look, it's glowing. Ooh. But yeah, I'm just gonna get that out of the way, and I guess her hand's gonna come off too. But yeah, this is Undine, I'm getting this Undine out of the way. And I took basically this Undine's fish ears off, or fins or whatever, and put them on this one because I really like how those look on it. And instead of leaving the head bald, I sculpted it this time like how I've been doing a lot of figures recently, because I felt like that just looks better for her. And then again, I used a fire piece. I kind of wish I used something else, but I think it looks better whenever it's coming out the back like this and not just straight out of the top. It's a little funny looking that way. But yeah, one thing I do regret about this figure is whenever sanding her sides, I used a new sanding block, and it is a lot rougher, and I kind of wish I would have gone over that better. But yeah, the whole figure, instead of painting it in a dark blue like this one, I did more of a bluish, greenish, lightish, lighter color, which I think maybe, actually no it's not, or I think it may be the same color I used for Friske's pants. But yeah, I wanted to do that. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. And then her legs, I just made a dark bluish gray because I couldn't decide between dark blue and dark gray. For this one I did dark blue, but this one I made it more grayish. And then I gave her dark red boots and with yellow parts on top, and I even made a little indent there, which was inspired by the boots of whatever Marceline from Adventure Time. The face I'm really proud of. I think it's much more cartoony than this one, and just kind of wacky, and I think that's definitely how I imagine Undine. Not really as wacky, but just kind of an angry, determined face that isn't like, I don't know, super like whatever this is. But yeah, that's it for Undine. Next up is a figure that I was debating actually not making for this series, but I kind of felt weird about saying like, hey, here's a remake of every Undertale figure except Gaster. So yeah, I made Gaster. I improved him. His old one looked like this, and I was really happy with that for a long time, and I kind of didn't feel like updating it, but I did, and I'm so happy I did. I feel like this looks incredible. The face I'm super proud of. It took the longest, and also usually these figures take up to like 3 hours to make. He only took like 30 minutes. This figure is super easy. But yeah, to make him different, I used the new dress piece or robe piece or whatever, and I think it makes him definitely look really cool, very, very dark and ominous and kind of like melty. I really like that look. Excuse me. Also, I was gonna give him arms like I did this one, because this one was very inspired by the sprite. Because one thing about Gaster, this figure was actually recommended. I've never been the biggest fan of Gaster because I feel like he's not really in the game, and the fan base has kind of added a lot of things to him that aren't really a part of him. So I wanted to keep this as base Gaster as possible, but I still decided to give him arms just because I think he looks better with all the Undertale, with all the other Undertale figures whenever he has arms. But I just painted holes in his hands, and then I couldn't decide on an accessory because most of them have accessories, except not really. So I gave him this little dark shooty thing that Hella had, just for funsies. I don't know, it's not like anything he has in the game, but he looks cool when he's holding it. But yeah, that is Gaster, or I guess his name really isn't Gaster, but whatever. WD Gaster. Ooh. How funny of me to move from one royal scientist to another, because the next figure is actually Alpha's. And yeah, this figure, it's still not the best, but if you compare it to the old one, it is amazing. This is about the most laughable custom I've ever made. I don't even know where to begin with this piece of garbage. I hate this figure so much. But yeah, I made an actual good figure. I used a minifigure head and just sculpted it a ton, gave it a little bit of cheek, sculpted all her little spines, which I think look really good. And then for the legs, I was going to give her mid-legs, actually, because she's really, I looked at the sizes, and she's really more the size of Sans than of, say, Friske, and that's old Friske, but, yeah, and so I did some more studying and found out that mid-legs are a brick and a stud, and I ended up just making her legs be a brick and 2 studs, and I think it looks great that way. Just because it looks so, I don't know, I think it just looks amazing. It looks very two-dimensional, but at the same time, really cool. And, yeah, I didn't really have any more mid-legs, so that was kind of part of it. But I also think just because she has little stubby feet, that works better. I also gave her a sculpted tail. I was going to make her, like, kind of hunched over, but that didn't really end up happening. But I think she looks amazing. And I also didn't sand her torso like I usually do for female figures, just because I felt like, I don't know, her form is just a little bit boxy. So yeah, it's a very full lab coat, so I decided not to do that. But I did paint the little wrinkles, and this part right here is E-tape, because I couldn't decide between making this lab coat like something that folds out and something that is kind of just round at the top like this. So I literally just did both. And yeah, I think her face turned out really good. It was extremely inspired by their little buddies figure of Alphas. But yeah, that is Alphas. Next up is another figure I nearly didn't make, but I'm really glad I did, and that is Mad Dummy, and I am so happy I made him because he looks amazing. I was just going to keep this one, and I don't even know why. I was thinking that this figure looks good enough to not have to make a new one, but I mean, it really doesn't look that great. But yeah, this Mad Dummy looks way better. For this one, to make it look like he has the mouth here, I just painted this part black and put the teeth over it. But I wanted to make his mouth actually look open, so he actually has 2 clear studs to prop his mouth open, and then it's kind of hard to tell because I actually put little cotton balls in there for fun, and I sculpted the teeth, and this torso is cut up, and then this part right here, it can kind of wobble around. I really wanted this figure to be able to wobble around, so he has a lot of articulation, which I'm really proud of. But yeah, his head, I made it a lot similar to this one. I just took a minifigure head and sculpted it, except this time, instead of making him face forward, which would be like this, I made him face the side. I was inspired by my figures from Dogman to do that, and also I changed up his build a little bit by giving him a round tile at the base here. It definitely makes him look more three-dimensional. I love how three-dimensional this figure looks. It's looking kind of like he's popping off the page with how I don't know, just how all of his pieces kind of go in different directions. I'm super duper proud of that. And then I just kind of painted little stitches all over him. This one, I made a stitch that went all the way down, and I don't know why I did that. Guess that was artistic liberty. But yeah, I didn't do that for this one, and instead just drew some different stitches at random parts. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then I dry brushed him with some black. But yeah, that's about it for Mad Dummy. The next figure, and that I don't even know how I was trying to introduce, is Flyway the Flower. And I was gonna say Flyway the Flower from Undertale, but I mean, it's kind of obvious he's from Undertale. This is an Undertale custom review. But yeah, most of him is built out of bricks, so this is a leaf piece, and then a grass piece, and a stamp piece, and a 2x2 connecting thing, kind of like this, but with only one stud in the middle, and then a round tile for a face. So yeah, I did him like that, so that way he can kind of turn his head, so he has a little bit of articulation. So my old one was completely flat, and sadly the only thing that survived in my old one is the face, which does not look as good as this one. I'm super proud of the face for this one. That's definitely the best part. Yeah, and I do realize that he has 6 petals. I did that on this one, but I gave him only 5 on this. I don't know why. It kind of annoys me, but I mean, I think all the petals look fine. He looks kind of like he's swaying. I kind of like that. His little leaf pieces I kind of just left green, but there is some brown I painted at the bottom, down there. So yeah, that's Flyway. Pretty simple figure. Next up is Azrael Dreamer, and this figure just means a lot to me because if you've ever seen the original video, one of my best pieces of editing that I've ever done was basically, I had a whole storyline actually going through the custom reviews, and so Flyway, since he was the last one to be reviewed, I did like a funny thing, and I was like, oh, here are the 6 human souls, and then I did this whole thing where it turned black and white and actually had a text box that I made when I was like, I don't know, 12. I had a text box at the bottom, and I actually went myself like, I can't do it anymore, but I made Flyway noises and then did all this editing and turned him into Azrael Dreamer, and that was like my favorite thing I had ever done. So this figure kind of means a lot to me, but yeah, I used a normal minifigure head and then just sculpted the hair tufts and his big floppy ears and his horns. I had the old figure here, but he's just barely survived. So yeah, he doesn't have his hands, and he's missing an ear and his horn and everything, and his hair, and no, his tail's still there. But yeah, this figure, I did forget the tail, so I had to just paint that. But I used a little paper piece for his collar, which I think looks incredible. And then I sculpted these shoulder pads onto the body. They're kind of being kept in place, because I think they cut him off. They're being kept in place by his ears and his arms, so I can't really move those. Yeah, and then I just used some paper to be his dress or whatever. He does have a Lego Batman movie belt in there to keep him, to make him a little taller, and I definitely think that helps. I also painted on his little heart necklace. This time I didn't do that with the original. I forgot to do that. And I painted the little Deltarune logo and his little speedies. And yeah, that's it for my boy Azrael, I guess. The last figure is a little different for a couple of reasons. The main reason is because this is a figure that I made in 2018. The rest were made in like 2016, I believe. But yeah, and also she does not have a figure to go along with her, because I actually made all this over that figure. And yeah, I tried something new with this figure. I sculpted the chest. I've never really done that with a female figure before, but I decided to try it here. And I don't know, I may do it again, but I'm probably not going to. I think this was just kind of my chance to test that out. And I don't know, it was mostly because I just used the old figure for this one and repainted it, and I had the old Deltarune logo under it, and so I was like, how am I going to get rid of this? And so I just sculpted over it. But yeah, her head is entirely new though. I took a minifigure head, cut off the stud, sculpted over the top, made her little horns and her ears, and painted the face, which I'm really proud of. She has a butterscotch pie here, but it's not painted or anything, it's just normal. And then her tail is sculpted, and her dress is paper, and she also has a Lego Batman movie belt in there to make her taller. And yeah, I think her arms are entirely the same, and maybe even the legs as well, but I redid the details on the torso just because I felt like it looked better that way. And instead of a gray line at the bottom, I made it a dark purple line. That used to be gray down there. But yeah, and also she's a much lighter purple. I wanted to do this. I made her a much lighter purple than Azrael is, just because she's, I don't know, kind of nice, and he's kind of a big jerk. But yeah, that is her Tori. Thank you guys for watching this sort of long custom review. Sorry my voice got kind of scratchy and I sounded a little bit sad at the end. That's just because I recorded this for a very long time and my voice hurts. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'm so happy to finally show these guys to you because I know how many Undertale fans watch my videos, and I love you guys. I love the Undertale community, and I love being able to talk with you guys because Undertale videos aren't my most popular, but they're my most commented on, and that definitely, to me, dispels the fact that Undertale fans are all just, like, I don't know, make creepy art and stuff, and I don't know. But you guys are so nice, and it makes me so happy when you guys comment on my videos, so please do that, but you don't have to. You can just enjoy the customs if you want, but I do just want you guys to know that I love you guys, and if you're not a custom fan, I love you too. I love everyone. So yeah, there will be some more Undertale customs and soon, and hopefully Deltarune customs later this week. We'll just have to see, and then I'll probably eventually make a big Undertale review with all my customs put together. But yeah, thanks for watching. I don't know, have a, you know what, just have a great day. Continue with your day and have a very, very good day. And see you later. Goodbye.